Good evening, everyone. We all know there are advantages to being married, of course, for love and companionship, but also for financial reasons.
That's especially true if you want to avoid environmental regulation by the state. News Channel 5 Investigates first exposed a loophole that allows farmers to divide their property between husband and wife to avoid oversight.
Tonight, investigative reporter Ben Hall examines a new battle over proposed environmental rules.
It's really bad. Really bad.
It can devastate streams.
Really nasty looking.
This video from state wildlife investigators shows runoff filled with manure from a large dairy farm in Middle Tennessee. It repeatedly flowed into a stream.
Really, really strong, nasty odor of cow feces.
Pollution like this is what led to regulation of so-called confined feeding operations, which is where large numbers of animals are kept in barns.
And when you bring a lot of animals together, you have a concentrated waste stream that has to be dealt with.
Environmental attorney Brian Paddock is concerned about proposed new rules for these animal feeding operations from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. He says they could allow large farms to avoid regulation.
They'll just be out there, they won't have permits, there won't be any central place to find out where their operations are.
Under state and federal rules, the larger an operation is, the more likely it is to need a permit and have a plan to dispose of its liquid waste. For example, a dairy farm with more than 700 mature dairy cows would likely need a permit. So would a hog farm with more than 2,500 large hogs. But Paddock says the new rules makes it easy to get around that regulation by simply dividing a farm among family members.
And then you say, okay, who you got? You look at your wife, you look at your kids, you look at your brother-in-law and your sister-in-law and your great-aunt Nellie.
We first exposed this was happening back in 2016 when a subsidiary of Tyson Chicken emailed TDEC regulators about a farm with 70,000 chickens, which would have required inspections and oversight. But the owner divided his property between the chicken barns, putting 2 barns in his wife's name and 2 were in the husband's name, meaning neither had to comply with stricter environmental regulations.
Do you think this is a trick?
Well, I am a lawyer, and I know how easy it is to put things in separate ownership.
Emails obtained by News Channel 5 Investigates removed all doubt about what was going on. An executive with a Tyson subsidiary wrote to the state, just wanting to make sure we are on the same page, before Ryan, the owner, spends the money to have his 2 farms split up. If he has the 2 farms split up to where one is in his name and one is in his wife's name, will that make it so he does not have to apply for a CAFO permit?
The executive director of the Tennessee Dairy Association defended the new rules. He said, as our story pointed out, people split their property under the old rules, so nothing has changed. And he further said the proposed new rules are stricter than federal regulations. Are you concerned that we're going to see more of that kind of thing?
Well, yes, because it's built right into the rule.
Paddock says what was once a loophole will now be standard operating procedure.
TDEC says the rule changes seek to make state rules more in line with a law passed by the legislature last year. Currently, TDEC is reviewing public comments. It could be a year before these new rules go into effect.